And a very good morning to you and welcome to K24 this morning. My name is Jeff Mote. Today is the day 10 years since the promulgation of the Constitution. And the big question really is which way forward from here. From the President's statement yesterday, he still emphasizes that if there was a constitutional moment, now is definitely the time. We discussed that right here in studio and really ask ourselves which way forward as we even move in this particular direction and what really needs to be addressed to actually address the needs and the wants of the citizenry at this particular point. That's going to be the mainstay of our discussion right here. We'll also have a question for you right here on the show. But as always, we look at the front pages of our dailies this morning. And in case you haven't gotten yourself a copy of your People Daily, don't forget you can get that straight to your phone for only 10 shillings. And the number that you need is star 550 star 4 hash. Once again, that number is star 550 star 4 hash. Dial that number and get yourself a copy of your People Daily straight to your phone. You don't need any data for that on your phone. You don't even need to download a mobile app from any store to get that. You just need the number star 550 star 4 hash. Dial it and get yourself a copy of your People Daily for only 10 shillings. And this can be found right across the country. It's brought to you by the People Daily and Safaricom. Let's look at the front page of the People Daily. Therein, wanted, bold constitution for the future. Uhuru and Raila declare the time to change supreme law is now, with ODM leaders saying BBI presents best opportunity for Kenyans to review the 2010 document. This is a special edition of this particular story. You can find it on page 2, 3, 4, 5, up until 9, actually, of your PD. So if you want detailed analysis on this and a historical perspective from where we've been and where we probably will be going, you'll get that in your copy of your People Daily this morning. Also in the PD, more than half of Kenyans have lost jobs. This can be found on page 15. An economy that had really been shaky even before the COVID-19 pandemic, now really on its knees, and the workers wondering where to get some respite on that. You can get that story on page 15 of your People Daily today. Even as we talk about COVID-19 and the havoc it's caused on the economy, we also keep a keen eye on the numbers every single day. As of yesterday, in the last 24 hours, 213 cases testing positive, bringing it to 33,016. As of now. And even as I talk about that, no let-up as COVID measures are extended. As of yesterday, of course, most measures extended for another 30 days in an effort just to flatten this particular virus's curve. You can get this story in your copy of your People Daily as well therein. Don't forget, like I said earlier, you can get it straight to your phone for only 10 shillings by dialing the number star 550 star 4 hash. Let's move it right along to the front page of the Daily Nation now, and it's all about matters corruption and graft there. Graft family loses looted NYS riches. Greeters ordered to forfeit to state a car and 3 parcels of land worth 95 million shillings. They're calling it a double win on the front page of your Daily Nation. Bad day for corruption as President Kenyatta demands speedy investigations into theft of COVID-19 funds and a court-sanctioned seizure of Greeta's property bought using proceeds of shady deals with the National Youth Service. As you look at that, on the other side of the country, Obado, son and daughter's cool heel in police cells as well. That story can be found as well in your copy of your Daily Nation therein. Also, on the political side of things, Kalonzo now a Lone Ranger. The Daily Nation says, Wiper leader slowly becoming a general without troops. What does this mean for his political future? You can get those details in your copy of your Daily Nation today. Let's move right along to the front page of the Standard now. Uhuru set stage for referendum, not wasting a crisis. On the eve of the 10th year of the anniversary since the new constitution was promulgated, President triggers a countdown to law change with declaration that now is the time for this particular review. That story can be found as well in your copy of your Standard therein. They're also talking about trouble in paradise for Obados and Greeters as they face the law as far as their shady deals are concerned. That story on page 2 and 3 of your Standard today. And as we look at that, we also seem like we have some white smoke from the Senate, finally. We have a deal, says senators on revenue. After 8 days of horse trading, a 12-member committee to hammer out consensus on county revenue sharing formula announces a breakthrough. So that story is also in your copy of your Standard. You can get it on page 8 therein. President firing warning shots over use of COVID funds. There's been talk on this by various political leaders and asking, and of course, an ask of a comprehensive audit of how these funds have been spent, and the president weighing in on that as well. That story can be found on page 10 of your Standard this morning. Finally, from page of the Star now. revealed money trail that nailed Obado and his 4 children. Funds used to pay fees, upkeep for governor's kids studying abroad. Evidence shows cash wired from suppliers to families' accounts. This story can be found on page 4 and 5 of your Star this morning. Also in the Star, Uhuru orders COVID-19 billion scam probe in 21 days. That story can be found in detail in your copy of your Star as well. And also in your Star's big read, No Pride or Joy, as Kenyans mark 10 years under much-touted law. This is a story we'll be talking about right here, even as we mark 10 years since the promulgation of the Constitution. And as always, we want your feedback on this one as well. You can get me at I am Jeff Morte. You can also get me at K24 TV. The WhatsApp number scrolling at the bottom of your screen. Welcome to K24 this morning. Welcome back to the show, of course, as always, and we have a question that we'll be putting up for you right here for you to weigh in, even as we mark 10 years. Since after 10 years, do you feel there's need to change the Constitution? President says this is a constitutional moment that needs to be seized. Same feeling from the former PM. But where you stand, when you take stock of where you've been so far, after 10 years, do you feel there's need to change the Constitution? You can send us your message on the WhatsApp number that's scrolling at the bottom of your screen. You can also get me on Twitter at I am Jeff Morte or at K24 TV. Let's bring it to studio. We have our Thursday panelists, a power panel, as always. Gabriel Muthuma, governance expert. Good morning.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you doing?
Welcome to the show.
Asante sana.
Welcome, welcome. We also have Oliver Karori, lawyer, entrepreneur. Very many hats he wears. Today it's all about matters, law and constitution. Good morning, Oliver. Asante sana. Welcome to the show. Today he's a man of few words. Very much unlike him. Well, this is the beginning, Gabriel. What do you think?
No. I think he's always. I don't know. We
will get to the bottom of that in just a minute.
I think we will. I think we will. We need to. We need to. I don't. I came with my swag as usual.
As usual. As usual. Also joining the conversation, and he'll be on the phone. Former Mandera Central MP Abdikadir Mohammed will be joining this conversation via phone. He's actually in Somalia right now, but this is a big one, and he'll be weighing in on this particular conversation as well. We'll be getting him on later on in the show. Let me start from studio in here as we talk about this particular issue right now. Where we stand, we're looking at this headline, and it seems like we were talking about probably if, no longer if, definitely a when question. Oliver, let me start with you, the man who hasn't said a word in the room. Bold constitution for the future. Is this what we need right now?
I think, thank you, Jeff, for the opportunity. I don't think we need a bold constitution for the future. We already have one. We just need bold implementation of the constitution for the future. You cannot renovate a house. You have not even visited all the bedrooms in the house. Mm-hmm. You get into a new house, 10 years down the line, you haven't even had a feel of all the rooms, but you are outside there saying, let us renovate. Mm-hmm. Whereas the Constitution itself, and Article 255, 256, 257, it gives itself an opportunity to be amended. It doesn't, that opportunity should not be given or should not just remain an opportunity for politicians. I have an issue when we say we are amending a Constitution below 2 years to the election. What are we really doing? And the people who are saying let us amend it are the same politicians. How sure are you it is not a bold constitution for just to allow people to be in the eating table? Mm-hmm. It is just to make sure that the buffet includes some of the favorite political seats for some leaders.
Right.
What ought to be, and that's why I've always had an issue with this microwave constitutional moment. A constitutional moment is just, it is organic. Mm-hmm. You cannot have one, a microwave one like the one we are trying to be told. Currently, people are struggling with corona and hard economic times. You cannot confuse that with a constitutional moment. Okay. And the other thing is this, Jeff, I wish we had a dependable and a credible audit of this constitution. 10 years down the line, what we should be doing on this date is saying we have the results from this institution or from the Justice and Constitutional Affairs Committee in Parliament telling us we have audited the constitution, this is what we feel. Right. But when we discuss about amending a constitution, because two senior citizens met and shook hands. That is not what Article 255, 256 talks about.
Right.
It talks about either the popular way or the parliamentary way. Okay. And then also when I read the president's speech and paragraph 42, it leaves a lot to be told. When he says it is not time to go the popular way, it is time to go the bold way. It is a bit...
when you read between the lines.
When you read between the lines, you don't really get the president.
Okay.
And it is unfortunate when you don't get the president in some issues.
Okay.
Because when he says we are not going the popular way, which other way?
Okay, let me bring in Gabriel on this one as well, because a large perception of this particular moment and what people are discussing is that it's really from the top down.
Right.
It's not the citizens who are asking for this, but it feels like it's a political class that's really pushing for this referendum and this change. And the citizenry aren't really there. They have what they'd call probably bigger problems on their plate. The last thing they want to hear about is a referendum right now.
To an extent, that is quite true, and I can understand why. You know, we have what you are calling the COVID menace, let me put it that way. And that probably many Kenyans are not thinking straight when you're talking about a referendum and the change of a constitution. But the truth of the matter is, at this point, 10 years down the line, we are given avenues to, look at our constitution. It's not written in stone. It's not the Bible. And to make amendments where, we feel we've not gone, or where we need our country to be headed. There's something that Oliver has raised, which I also think we need to give a lot of push into, and that is why are we changing the constitution? Is this coming in the backdrop of the 9 points, of the BBI? When we went for the 2010 promulgation, we had come from a very serious election in 2007, 2008, where we almost saw the country burning. And there was a push to actually, change the constitution so that we can allow some element of, of peace in the country to reign. And I think, 10 years down the road, I think we've not done that bad, but the question is, have we implemented that which was, promulgated? Right. And so the question of implementation, I think we have to go back and forth and ask, is what we are talking about, will it be Wanjiku driven?
Right.
If it's not going to have the stamp of approval from Wanjiku, I do not think we'll be solving the problem that we need, or the problems that we need to solve. Having said that, the implementation, no country in the world that is democratic or follows the staid process like what Kenya has followed in constitution making can say that they are immune from the tribulations that come with implementing the constitution. If you may go back as far as the 1800s, when you had the 13th and the 14th and the 15th Amendment in the United States, which has one of the most progressive constitutions, you will realize that, the Emancipation Proclamation, when it was signed in around, I think, 1864, 65, around, or thereabouts, has taken almost years, hundreds of years now,
right,
to actually implement. Even today, the 21st century, people are still talking about rights. You are seeing what is happening in the United States. Right. So there is the element of implementation that really kind of throws everybody out. But if we are able to come up with a constitution and we boldly put it in our minds that we are going to implement that which we agree, tell you what, Jeff, that is how we are going to arrive to a constitution that every Kenyan can be grateful for. Okay,
let's talk about that particular moment when they were trying to hammer this out. 10 years ago, we have a man who was there in the thick of things, former Mandera Central MP, Abdikadir Mohammed. Good morning.
Morning.
Welcome to the show.
Asante sana.
I don't know whether you're privy to a copy of your People Daily, even in Somalia, as where you are right now. But there's on page 5 of the People Daily this morning. There's a picture of key people of interest during this particular constitutional making process. There's Yashpal Gai, Lumumba, Nyachai, Amos Wako. You're there as well. And under your picture, they're talking about Abdikadir Mohammed was criticized for tinkering with the harmonized draft from the Committee of Experts. I want us to start from there with you on this one. This particular accusation and what happened in this particular moment. Let's go back there. Give us some sense of what happened and how we can actually move from this particular dilemma as of now. Because some people are saying what was discussed and what came out was tinkered along the way. Something happened in between there.
Well, thank you very much. I think that's part of the narrative to try and push the very unpopular changes to the Constitution that is being set forth. I agree with your speakers. Constitutions can and should be amended as necessary. At this point in time, I don't think that is our biggest problem. Constitutions are vehicles, and I'll come to the issue you raised. Constitutions are vehicles. Most of your listeners, or a number of them, or at least a number of the panelists, probably do have vehicles. Now, you have a vehicle, the moment you get it off the showroom, you can improve things on that vehicle. Almost every vehicle has something that can be improved on. But if you just lost your job and you are sick and in the hospital, I don't think the most critical thing will be to soup up your ride or do an engine overhaul. The point is, as we speak now, the country has major issues. And I doubt if you went to the streets of any of our towns and asked what should be the focus of our attention at this point in time as a nation, they would say, tinker with the Constitution and give slots at the top for a few more of our politicians to serve as prime ministers and deputy prime ministers or so forth. So I think it's really disingenuous for those who are selling a constitutional change to use the fact that we have problems to sell the constitutional changes. Constitutions can be changed, should be changed. When the president and the prime minister did their famous handshake, they pointed out 9 issues, which were real issues and real problems we have. If we are to address those, that would be fine. I think more it is about the expediency for the 2022 elections moment being really the drivers of this. But let me come back to your question. Now, what was my role in Parliament in 2009? I was the chair of the Legal Affairs Committee. I was the chair of the Committee on Implementation thereafter. That committee was really the manager of the process. Who are the members of that committee? 27 members, including our current president, our current deputy president, the former deputy president, deputy prime minister Mudavadi. If you look at that organ, because it was an organ of the reform, it really was the key organ charged with the negotiations. I was the first time young member of parliament. You would rarely imagine at that time, or even now, that I would ram through anything. I was the manager. I was chair. In fact, mainly because I really was seen as a neutral party that was not going to push any presidential ambitions. So I think it's just part of the narrative. I think it is not it's not correct. I believe if we have issues with the Constitution, we should have a genuine look at the Constitution and change them. I personally don't think now is the time or the reasons are the right ones for changing.
Okay, thank you so much for that. We also have who will be joining the conversation at this particular moment, Dr. Eukuru Aukot. He was also a member of the Committee of Experts at this particular point in time, 10 years ago, as they birthed this particular document. Let's have him in on the show as well. Good morning, Dr. Aukot.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, and thanks for having me on the show. And good morning to my fellow panelists.
Thank you so much for making time to be on the show as well, Daktari. Let's get right to it, even with this one. As we stand now, we've heard that bold declaration yesterday from the president, and this is just reiterating what he has said before, that this is the moment where we get this constitutional change. Seems like he's leading from the front right there. You were there as we birthed this document and really put it together. Do we need to do this now? Because some people are saying 10 years is really a short time to start changing a document, even if it is indeed what they're calling a living document. 10 years isn't enough to actually go down and start changing things within the particular document.
Well, first of all, let me just challenge Kenyans that we must also stop a level of naivety. Too much trust we have given to the political class, and we expect them, for example, to lead the implementation of this constitution. For the last 10 years, we have seen a situation where the political leadership, especially the current one, first of all, does not even believe in this constitution to begin with. I don't even think they have read it. They don't even understand aspects of it. So clearly, we must now review this constitution 10 years going forward. For me, I favor the review of this constitution, the amendment of this constitution, for many, many reasons. I mean, if you look at, I don't have time to say all those reasons, but look at our Punguza Mizigo Kenya. we have advanced 10 reasons why we think amending this constitution will accrue benefits to Kenyans, will make sure that the constitution is effective. I'll just pick an example of, say, Parliament. When we did this constitution 10 years ago, Kenyans had come from the era of KANU, where there was almost no distinction between the executive, parliament, and the judiciary. So we created these new institutions with a clear separation of powers, and we wanted their independence. But look at where we are today. Today, the opposition in parliament is dead. Why? Because they are subservient and are controlled by almost two individuals, President Uhuru Kenyatta and his political brother Raila Odinga. In fact, I ask myself, was there any point in electing or nominating the 416 members of parliament? We should have just said, let Raila or Uhuru become either the Senate or National Assembly or vice versa. So I am in favor of amending this constitution to reduce the number of representatives. Kenya is overrepresented. I think we were very emotive at the time we were writing this constitution. And yes, it was the right thing to do at the time, but I will also say to my fellow panelists who are saying that it may not be the right time to make this constitution, Article 255, 256, and 257 are not mere decorations in our constitution. They are meant to give us the opportunity to be able to look at certain aspects of this constitution. For example, I will amend the Constitution of Kenya today to strengthen devolution. And this is how I'm proposing to strengthen devolution. To make sure that, for example, the governor is directly accountable and responsible for the expenditure of funds or for failed development projects. I'll amend the Constitution to make sure that services are enjoyed at the people's doorsteps. And that's why we favor using the ward as the primary unit of accelerating development, even meeting the objectives of Article 204, Equalization Fund. You know, I'll amend this constitution to make sure that people with checkered past or people with questionable character are not cleared to go into public office. I'm saying this because if you look at Chapter 6, Jeff, it is one of the geniuses of Kenya's constitution, the idea of leadership and integrity. We are actually almost the only country in the world, and I will ask you to look at a website called constitute.org. In that web, you will find about 194 constitutions of the world. Only Kenya has dedicated a whole chapter called leadership and integrity. In other words, we want a certain type and character of leaders. But what do? We keep electing the wrong people and then lamenting the same thing. So I will amend the constitution to make sure that we achieve these objectives.
Let me bring it to studio as well on that one, Dr. because you've raised a very valid point there in terms of Chapter 6, and you are going to go there as well, because as he says it, even as we elect certain individuals to office, it's not the Constitution that's a problem. It's almost a Kenyan proverb. The Constitution is very clear.
Right.
But the Kenyans will go there knowing that Oliver has probably done before. Yes. We've heard of this story, but yet we're the same ones who put him there. So some people are saying, Gabriel, we're really getting what we deserve.
Justifiably so. And I think, our good friend Eukuru has actually made that point quite valid on Chapter 6 alone. You know, it's not the issue about the Constitution. It's very clear about the people that we should have in office. But look at what we have, like he's saying. You know, we have people some who've served prison, jail terms, all right? But today, some of them are governors, all right? We actually have many who did not satisfy the requirements of Chapter 6. Whether you're looking at it from a point of view of the element, the legalese that come with it, whether you're looking at whether you're talking about the ethical values. I mean, there are so many people that we have today in both Parliament, Senate, and even the gubernatorial positions that actually failed that particular Chapter 6 test. But then the question is, why are Kenyans not marinating properly with that which is written in their constitution? Because we do have a responsibility to look at these people individually, to gauge them, to understand what they represent, and to say, do we really need this person in this position? So this responsibility that we keep talking about, it is probably, a scapegoat when we point at the Constitution. And when we do that, we do not point at the mistakes that we keep doing consistently. It cannot be business as usual that we will continue selecting leaders who are constantly all right, not able to be validated by our constitution, we come and validate them through our means on the ground. As a matter of fact, that is self-defeating. All right? So we need to go back to the constitution. What does chapter 6 say? What kind of individual should I have to be my MP, to be my senator, to be my governor, all right, to be my women rep? What does this constitution? Then we put them against that constitution and we see whether, you know, they come clear or they come clean on the other side. Failure to which, then we are also breaking the constitution.
Okay. Oliver, do you feel chapter 6 is elaborate enough on paper for it to be followed, or is it also put down on paper in a way that even the political class can find ways to wiggle around the law as well?
When you look at how, Jeff, our political class implements the constitution, you look at it, they look at the constitution as an object of great inconvenience to them. That is where you begin from. And two, you must realize that a constitution carries the hopes and aspiration of a nation. Yes. And first, more so a constitution of this nature that was negotiated for more than 20 years. It has so much about us. It means by having just even an article in that constitution, it means it reflects something about us. The Kenyan people knew that corruption and lack of integrity is one of our problems.
Correct.
But the problem is here. What Kenyans aspire to do and to be is different from what they choose to be. That is what at times puts us at a very complicated...
How do we settle that disconnect?
It is settled this way. One, we did not appreciate some values of this constitution, and that's why at times I want to support Eukuru Aukot for whatever he says. We need to relook this thing, but not with this in mind that we want to have a food table for everybody. No, but looking at it to make it better for everybody. We have a constitution that talks about integrity and everything, but you did not come up with the laws on financing an election. That's why a crook steals money in a county or in a ministry, goes to the people, we say the people are exercising their sovereignty, they elect a crook. But if we had laws in place that complement chapter 6, the laws that deal with the financial probity in terms of election financing and everything, two, we must make sure that the playing ground, our political playing ground is equal, so that we do not have people who can access certain resources which other people cannot. That is why we end up having these leaders who go against chapter 6. Okay. And the other thing also, Kenyans have to be serious with what they want. They can't put down a different thing in the constitution, and when given a chance, they vote the other way. That is why we are continuously in a voter's remorse. We vote today, a week after election, we start demonstrating. Right. What has changed?
And I mean, that's a question we're going to be asking as well right here on the show. We have Abdikadir as well, still on phone. Even as we come to this particular point of view, Abdikadir, you've said that at this particular point in time, yes, there are issues that need to be sorted out in the constitution, but there are very many other more pressing issues as of now. But if you go back to the document from where you stand, if you were to nitpick and look at probably change this or leave this there, what do you feel needs to be looked at and changed in this particular point in time? Hello? Abdikadir, do you hear me? Okay, we have a bit of a connectivity issue right there. And of course, even as we try to get him back online, don't forget, we want your feedback on this as well. You can get me at I am Jeff Mote or at K24 TV as well. We also have a question of the day as we look at after 10 years at this particular point in time. We want to know where you stand as far as this constitution is concerned. And do you feel that it needs to be changed now? Is this the time? You can get us with the WhatsApp number scrolling at the bottom of your screen. And in case you haven't gotten yourself a copy of your PD, there's a lot in detail right there on the Constitution for the Future, they call it. You can get it straight to your phone. It's only 10 shillings. And the number that you need is *550*4#. Once again, the number *550*4#. Back after a short break. This is K24 This Morning.